All right, guys. So this video is going to be for those of you that want to know, what do I actually need to do in order to get an A or an A star? Okay. If I can do this and replicate it in all of my students, I know you can do exactly the same thing and get the grade you need. So stop playing Chem on hard mode. Let's do this. This is relevant to any exam board, anywhere in the world. Just follow these steps and you're going to be good to go, okay? Even IB, this can be replicated in, okay? So first off, what do I have to learn? This is really simple. Just go to Google, find your specification, maybe even get your textbook as well, and you can know exactly what you need to learn for each topic from your specification, okay? Do not sleep on this. Do not sleep on the spec. Go to the exam board, find the specification. That's step one, okay? What is step two? You need to know the content, obviously, how you're going to do the exams, how you're going to get that AA star if you don't know what the content is. What is on each paper? We'll touch on this a little bit in a second. And then from there, the whole premise of my channel is that exams are a game, okay? The rules of those games are going to be found in the past papers, the mark scheme, examiner's report combined with the specification, okay? You're going to put the reps in, you're going to do these past papers, and you're going to realize there are very common themes, very common topics, very common questions, etc. in order to get the top marks, okay? Now going back to this, what is on each paper? High yield topics. If you haven't seen the videos already on my channel, unfortunately for chemistry, I've only released one on AQA so far, but I plan to branch out to all the other exam boards. Basically, these are the topics that come up the most, have the highest frequency, have the most marks. If you master these topics, it's going to instantly give you a higher probability of getting a bigger grade. A bigger grade? A better grade, okay? So do that, focus on these, master them if at all possible, and you're instantly going to jump out at B's, A's, okay? And then from there, it's just fine-tuning your understanding. All right. From there, we know what we need to learn from the specification. We know what the high yield topics are for AQA. It's going to have similar stuff for OCR, Edexcel, etc. But for AQA, you're sorted. I already have that on my channel. From there, we need to learn the content. Okay. We do this in a variety of ways. Got to go to school, sixth form, college, whatever that may be. Your online notes, free and paid. 2, I highly suggest, that got me through my A levels, Chem Revise, Absolute G, and Chem Guide. Okay, this one is not exactly AQA specific or exam board specific, I believe, but it's still incredibly useful because sometimes Chem Revise doesn't have that nuanced understanding that you sort of need to sort of fill in the gaps, okay? Online notes, those are 2 recommendations. You can buy some. You got the textbook as well. Textbook's a bit waffly in my opinion, but it's still good in certain areas. Then you have tutors like myself or any tutor you can find online to sort of help you understand and learn the content a bit more. And then you have good old YouTube, which is where you are right now. All right, YouTube is an insanely good resource. That's pretty much where I learned all my content, supplementing that with online notes. My school, not the one, guys. My teacher, my chem teacher was not the one. So this one wasn't so great. But yeah, YouTube, online notes is where I got most of my stuff. All right, self-taught pretty much for the most part. Okay, now content learning. I don't know what happened to this arrow. Basically, that should go like that and then carry on down to make notes. But you need to understand the content. Okay, so you learn the content, you go to class, you watch a YouTube video, you have a tutor lesson, whatever it may be. How do we actually understand the content? All right, this is where you essentially need to teach yourself or explain things to yourself or others. Grab a mate, grab a teddy bear that you talk to, whatever it may be, okay? Talk to yourself in the corner of a room, ideally not in public, and just think to yourself, why does this happen? How does this happen, okay? This is going to instantly improve your grade because you're going to have understanding, okay? Now, from there, how do we expand on this? How do we actually understand stuff? First off, something I recommend, and I did this at uni. I didn't actually do this at A-level, but I did this at uni and it got me 100% in some of my exams, okay? Is make your notes in question and answer format. You can do this in a variety of ways, okay? You can do it in a spreadsheet. You can do it, which I'm not really a fan of. You can do it in a Google or Word doc as a table. You can do it in a Notion document as a toggle Q&A, and then you can import that straight into Anki. We'll get onto Anki in a little bit. But basically, you want your question cards as the first column of the table and the answers as the second. So like this one right here is a summary card. Just an example from the aromatics topic for AQA. I send all these to my students, right? You would have a summary card explaining the effects of having a chlorine side group on benzene, chlorobenzene, regarding bond strength, delocalization, and reactions, and then your answers right here. Okay, this is a summary card, so it's sort of condensed like 3 or 4 cards into one. This is for transition metals, right? What phases are heterogeneous catalysts usually in? Blah blah blah. Just an example. Okay, But through doing this, through creating them in a Q&A format, you're not just doing like standard linear notes that you're just copying from your teacher's PowerPoint or out of the textbook or whatever it may be, right? You're actually thinking, what question do I need to ask myself? What question is going to prompt my memory and my active recall and able to remember this information, all right? Because you got a ton of information you need to remember for Chem, then you've got other subjects, biology, psychology, maths, physics, history, whatever it may be. You've got a ton of stuff that's going to be going in your brain and you're constantly fighting that forgetting curve, right? So, and then through doing the answer, it's a specific answer that you're going to be able to remember based on this prompt, okay? You can buy flashcard decks online. You can get flashcards from your tutors or your teachers, all right, like I give to all my students. But ideally, you're making them yourself because it's going to influence your understanding to a greater degree, okay? You're going to have a question and an answer that's bespoke, that is unique to you, and you're going to have better time remembering stuff, okay? Moving on, this is obviously optional, but I highly recommend it to all my students. From there, you have active recall. So ideally, you're going to make these notes, right? And then you're going to transform them into flashcards, okay? So flashcards, you can do physical flashcards. I highly advise against it because it's going to be super messy by the time you get to exam season and you've got like 1,000 plus cards on your desk and it's just an absolute shambles. You got to take them on the bus and you just have a fat deck of cards in your bag. It's just not ideal, okay? Anki, have it on your phone, have it on your desktop, have it on your iPad or whatever, and you can go through it with that spaced repetition algorithm, okay? Quizlet if you're not on that level, but Anki if you know, you know, okay? Next up, blurting, all right? Blurting is pretty good. It's basically like just get everything on the page. I'm sure you guys know what blurting is, okay? It has its limitations, but it's definitely good when you're doing it and combining it with flashcard spaced repetition, as well as mind maps, okay? I like mind maps a lot. When you're going through the material, you can condense it down so you only write like the first letter of a word or use symbols and just speed up your revision, whatever you may do. I'm not gonna go into like mind mapping techniques, but yeah, you can do that as well, all right? Anki is king, okay? In my opinion, Anki and blurting are gonna help you just remember those information, okay? But now, you don't wanna make flashcards on every single little thing. I have, just because I can give it to my students and they can pick and choose what they want to take from it and actually convert to an Anki deck, okay? But you want to do the main things like observation, reagents, conditions, little caveats, little pieces of information, observations, color changes, things that you actually have to remember, different chemical equations that you need to remember, different little pieces of information about electropotentials, whatever it may be. Do the stuff that is a little piece of information or practical methods, practical apparatus, little things that you do need to remember. Outside of that, you don't really need to make flashcards on it. So if it's more like calculation-based, mechanism-based, you can make an initial flashcard so you know it's in your deck and you know you can go back to it if you need to or in your notes if you need it. But in reality, you want to be doing all that sort of stuff through past paper exposure, okay? Now, I'm going to go into this. I'm going a bit fast here, but basically you want to do understanding into active recall and application of knowledge, okay? Anki Quizlet for the stuff that's the recall, caveats, little stuff like that. Blurt that shiz on the page, okay? From there, past papers. Questions by topic is primarily what you're going to do first, all right? So with all my tuition students, right, I send them workbooks of all the questions from past papers 2017 to 2024. They can access them and attempt them themselves, and then I have a workbook of all my solutions. So they have a breakdown of every single question that they need to answer, okay? And then from there, you go into the full topics, okay? Because if you do like, full paper, I should say. Because if you do a full paper off the bat, it can be good because it can gauge your overall understanding and you can isolate your weaker areas. However, there's going to be a lot of wasted time because you're not learning the content for a specific topic, funneling that into active recall for a specific topic, and then testing yourself on that specific topic. So it's just going to make things a lot more efficient for you, in my opinion. But as always, you can access the full papers and just go through them at your own pace, right? From there, you want to mark your own papers as harshly as possible. Or if you can, send it to a tutor, send it to your teacher. Teachers are a lifesaver for this one because they will often say yes. If they've got a student that's actually interested and it's like, Miss, Sir, can you please mark my work and give me some feedback? They're normally going to be able to do that, okay? So if you can, do that, right? How do we do that? When you go through it harshly, So like if you think you only got 2 of the 3 marks, give yourself 2 of the 3 marks. Don't give yourself that third mark. Use mark schemes, use examiner's reports, okay? And keep a log or keep a tracker of your incorrect questions and mistakes. What I like to refer to this as is track your W's and L's, all right? So track your W's as in which questions did I get correct? And you can even make an Anki deck for that, okay? You do want to keep note of which ones you got correct if you can, because then you can repeat them later down the line in exam season. Depending if you're watching this later towards exams and you're cramming, you don't need to do this, but you do need to revisit material that you already have got correct, just way less than the stuff you got incorrect. So if you're only tracking one thing, track your mistakes, track your L's, okay? You can either do that in a spreadsheet or you can make a flashcard deck that's like L's for each topic. Okay, and then you would do those until you get them correct. Make sure you include the mark scheme, examiner's report if it's relevant. If the examiner's report is relevant for that question and it's going to help you get it correct next time, make it as the back of the card. Okay, do your own solutions, make your own little notes on the back of the card, stuff like that. Okay, so this sort of feeds into organization. This is going to be a form of organization, tracking your W's and your L's. Okay. From there, you got to think about topic priority and your exam timetable. This is only really relevant in that sort of like May, June time when your exams are actually coming around. But before that, you need to track your performance across each topic. So this is an example of AQA, right? You got year 1 content, year 2 content, physical, inorganic, organic practicals, right? You do exact same thing for whatever your exam board is. You'd have the topic and the required practical, and then rate it on a scaling from 1 to 5. 1 being, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I really need help. 5 being, I'm going to cook this in my exam, I'm super confident. Okay, and that is going to help you know what you need to focus on. Please, guys, focus on your weakest areas. And also, like we said at the beginning of the video, focus on the high yield topics. Okay, if you master all these high yield topics, it's just going to instantly boost your performance overall in your marks, in your real exams, in your homework, whatever it may be. When your teacher sets it, you're going to get a lot more marks just because you understand that content more, and they're the bigger topics, the topics which come up the most. From there, make a note of where your weakest areas are. If you're going for that A-star grade, you really need to nail your mistakes, make note of your weakest areas, and then build that up. Just go back to the top of the funnel. Okay, what is my weakest area? How do I learn the content? How do I understand the content? How do I remember the content? And how do I apply that knowledge of that content? Okay, that's what you want to do, and just repeat the cycle over and over again. All right, this is honestly going to get you AA stars, guys. Okay, from there we get a little bit more advanced with the active recall. You get topic stacking and synoptic or concept mapping. Okay, so these two, blurting and mind mapping or concept mapping, very similar things. I'm not going to make a video. If you want a separate video, I can do that. I can show you an example mind map of like inorganic group 2, group 7. Whatever, period 3, and you can sort of link it together in a unlimited canvas. So get a piece of paper, a whiteboard, and on your tablet, your iPad or whatever, get an unlimited canvas and just go crazy with the mind maps, okay? Try and link those concepts together. So the thing with chemistry is, at the beginning, when you're in year 12 or even like halfway through year 13, this is what chemistry feels like in your brain. Just an absolute mess, okay? But as you start doing the active recall and the application of knowledge, etc., you start connecting those little nodes together in your brain, okay? This portion and specification links with this. Oh, and this links with this. And then that links to this. And then it links back here. Oh, and this links with this over here. And it just becomes a much more ordered sequence in your brain. And that's where you can start applying all of your knowledge to those more advanced synoptic questions that pop up in your exams, particularly in paper 3. Okay, so that's what you want to be doing, and you can stack topic revision together. Like a lot of amount of substance feeds into other topics, like all the calculation-based topics in acids and bases, transition metal redox equations, all that sort of stuff. Okay, it stacks together. I'm not going to go into great detail because this would just be an incredibly long video, but you get the idea. Okay. From there, this is essays level of response. This is not relevant to chemistry, so I'm going to skip over that. I left this in from a biology video. But yeah, it's not relevant for chemistry. You can do bullet points. Don't do bullet points in your level of responses. If possible, those 6-mark questions, okay? Just skip over that. All right. Ooh, rushing through this. What's next? Okay, we've basically covered everything. Last stuff, time management, okay? I've put this as advanced because you don't really want to worry about this at the beginning. All right, I have a lot of my students that message me saying, oh, I ran out of time on this paper, or I had an in-class test and I ran out of time, I'm stressing out. How can I improve this? I would say it honestly just comes with putting the reps in. All right, so you're going to do those past papers over and over again. You're going to improve your grade and you're going to decrease the time that it takes you to get there. It's just going to come with time. Okay, that's the honest truth. Okay, so I wouldn't make it your priority. I would make everything else your priority right now. Learn the content, understand the content, active recall of the content, application of the knowledge. Okay, make that your priority and this will come with time. Okay, basic stuff, check the clock, mark checking. Okay, so basically look at the question and think how many marks are available? How long is this going to take me? Just do like a quick mental log in your head. If it's going to take you 20 minutes to answer a 6 marker or 15 minutes to answer a 6 marker, you can skip it. Okay, that sort of feeds into this one right here. Prime example in chemistry is NMR or like super complicated redox calculations if you're not too good at them. And you look at it and you say, man, this 5-6 marker question is going to take me like 10, 15, 20 minutes. Just skip it. Honestly, it's not worth the time investment. You can come back to it later, but you want to grab those other marks available in the paper elsewhere. Okay, like I said already, bullet points, you can do this in little questions. You don't have to. Try and avoid it in your level of response. Next up, MCQs, okay? You just want to bang out those MCQs. Specifically, depending on the exam board, they have different formats of MCQs. Edexcel love them. OCR love them. AQA, it's only in paper 3, stuff like that, okay? You want to practice these separately if you can and just find little techniques that work for you. I'm not going to make a whole video on MCQs, but there are techniques out there. Watch some YouTube videos of how to do it and you're going to be completely fine. Okay, but this one is more advanced. Focus on everything else first and you're going to be fine, okay? I actually didn't mention this, completely skipped over this. When you're learning the content, throw this stuff straight in the trash, okay? Straight in the garbage. Rereading notes, revision guides, highlighting your notes, and anything that's passive. So anything that's not actively like making you think and understand and recall the information, apply the information, just throw it in the garbage, all right? Let's move on, okay? Last part of the video, guys, be realistic. Be realistic with your grades. Why are you sweating out studying at your desk more than you need to, okay? I have students, they come to me and they say, I just need a B. I'm like, sweet, you know exactly what you need to get into uni. That's all you need to be going for. Go for the A star and you're in psychology or in maths, whichever subject you are more gifted in, that is where your higher grades should be allocated towards. If you need 3 A's or 3 A stars, then that's just a reality, okay? Be realistic, that is the reality. But if you only need a B or a C, don't freak out. It's just gonna add more stress to your plate, okay? Hopefully this video helped you. It's literally the roadmap I would use and I give to all my students in order to get AA star. If you need my personal help, check the link in the description below, but you can definitely do this all yourself. It'll just take a lot of time. But yeah, good luck guys. I believe in you. Peace.